Good afternoon, anti-novelists, curious onlookers, Lilligans, and friends. Welcome back to this episode of Zettelkasten for Fiction, where imagination finds order. We've been talking over the last few episodes about different kinds of players in your story. We've talked about the protagonist, the antagonist. I've introduced you to the idea of the contagonist, and today I want to introduce you to the antagonist by proxy. So the contagonist is a subset of this category, which I get pretty deep into in the book. But for our purposes, I just want to walk you through this. Tomorrow, I will introduce you to the villain, and then we're going to set off on a journey of creating our character cards to manifest these characters so that you can flesh them out for your story. So let's meet the antagonist proxy. The reason you would employ a proxy in your story is because you need something or someone that serves as an obstacle or a hindrance, but you don't want to introduce your main villain yet. Maybe it's too early in the story. You don't want to introduce a proper antagonist because maybe you're not ready to unveil who that is yet, or maybe that character is not developed enough yet. So instead, you might introduce that bad guy emissary, right? That bad guy's right-hand man, his henchman, or in order to ramp up tension in the plot, independent of your main bad guy or your villain, you might introduce other antagonistic things that poke at your main character. So what could that be? Well, it could be another character. Like I said, you might throw a contagonist in there to hinder your character's progress. They're not a proper adversary, but they're going to provide a soft fork in that main character's road. So it might be another person. It could be a situation. Maybe the power goes out in the building at their office, and that provides a tension-building conflict that they have to figure out. It doesn't have bearing on the main part of the story, but maybe the way that they solve that problem lends useful information that you may call back later in the story. So introducing an antagonistic situation becomes a way of revealing information that your reader can discover and potentially revealing important things or skills about your character. So it's a nice way of planting something so that later on, when you pull that something out, it doesn't look like what I talked about in the video about Deus Machina, or something that's so much of a coincidence that your reader's like, wait, what? Where did that come from? So you may use a situation. Could be an event, like potentially a huge sporting event, or a big concert, or a life event. Maybe it's a big pivotal birthday party, like my big whatever wedding, whatever. So you could have an event that serves the purpose of driving that story. Maybe it's a body or a system, like a body of government, or perhaps an authoritative system, some kind of overarching authority. In the novella that I'm writing, which takes place before the novel that I'm writing, the authority over the novella that puts that pressure on is the principal of the school where the kids go. So beware principal rule, because he is not afraid to mess with the kids. So it could be an authority figure. It could be an item or a symbol. What if your character is trying really hard to make good on a promise and make it to this certain event or place on time? They're just really pushing to get there, and they are interrupted leaving the house by being served with papers. Maybe they're being served with a summons or some kind of legal paperwork, and that's what slows them down, and that holdup is what sets them on the course for the rest of the story. So sometimes it's a particular item, like being served papers, or a symbol, like they discover something when they're rummaging through a desk, and that something gives them pause, trips them up, causes some tension, and they dismiss it, shove it back in the drawer, and then 10 chapters later, you put a call back in to whatever that item was, reveal what it symbolizes, and now we know why it is important and why it drives the story. So that's using any of these proxy elements as a representative, generally speaking, for the villain, but it can also be used as an independent point of conflict that doesn't involve your villain because you're not ready to involve the villain yet. How does it manifest? As I said, it could be as a contagonist. It could be as some kind of sacrifice. For my Trekkie fans out there, this could be referred to as your red shirt. It's shorthand for people that loved the show Star Trek, that whenever they needed someone in a scene who was either going to be picked off or shamelessly murdered, left for dead, they just needed somebody that they could, oh my gosh, James is dead. Well, on we go, right? You need that sacrificial lamb. That character in the TV show was generally wearing a red shirt rather than the standard issue Star Trek uniform shirt. So a red shirt is somebody that's going to get offed in the story that is kind of a cardboard character. We're not attached to them. We don't know them. We just know that somebody's got to get whacked to demonstrate what's going on in the scene. So it could manifest as some of those things. So that is a quick look at the kinds of things that are packed into the chapter that include the antagonist by proxy. So there you have it. We will be creating these cards as we go through that chapter in the book so that you understand how to move these pieces around on the board of your story and figure out who belongs where. And then we're going to dive into some more structure behind narrative and figure out what kind of story you want to tell, and then how you start putting those pieces together using these players that you've created. So we will talk about the villain tomorrow, but I will leave you here for today. I have some super, super crazy exciting news that I can't exactly share with you yet, but I will share that today's developments have put me firmly on the path to formally publishing this book for you. So it's been a great day. I'm going to get back to writing. I've got time to do one more writing sprint, and then I will get back after it tomorrow, Saturday, at 1 o'clock Central Time, over in LiLLiPub.org, which is linked down below, is our every Saturday fusion writing meeting. So we will be workshopping this chapter. We will also be having at noon and 2 p.m. Central sprints for co-writing together. So do please come and join us if you can. As always, thank you so much to my subscribers. I value every single one of you, and I will see you tomorrow.